I'm glad you could join us for uh, a weekend devotional. Last night, as I lay asleep, somewhere a little after midnight, I began to awake to a continual rumbling and roaring, and I began to realize the sound of thunder, but it was a continuous rolling of thunder. It was a continuous, when I looked out the window, a continuous show of lightning. And I often think of a song that or hymn that we sing that expresses the greatness of God. He says, "How great thou art, O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. When through the woods and forest glades I wander, and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees, when I look down from lofty mountain grandeur, I hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze. And when I think that God, his son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in. That on that cross my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart, then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art." I want us to think about that idea for just a moment. Do we really believe that our God is great? Do we really understand the uniqueness of our God being greater than anything we can imagine? To be able to cause the thunder to roll in a continuous roaring, to build, so to call it a light show in the sky. So often we fail to realize the greatness of that one whom is our God. We look at all of the things that are happening around us, and we fail to see a God who can take care of those situations when it's time. We have an election coming up. And no matter how you look at that election, and no matter how you see politics, it is God who puts people into the power that they're in. I spend time watering grass and flowers and trying to get them to bloom and do the things they should do. And you think that you've done everything you can do, and then you find that you get a little quarter-inch shower or half-inch shower, and all of a sudden the flowers look different, the grass looks different. And you wonder what it is that is so different from what you've done by putting water on it yourself. And yet there's something about what God has created and made that work beyond anything we can do. In Psalms, the 48th chapter, I want to read the first 8 verses. "Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God. His holy mountain, beautiful in elevation, is the joy of all the earth. Mount Zion in the far north, the city of the great King, within her citadels, God has made himself known as a fortress. For behold, the kings assembled, they came on together. As soon as they saw it, they were astounded and they were in panic and they took flight. Trembling took hold of them there. Anguish as of a woman in labor. By the east wind you scattered or shattered the ships of Tarshish. As we have heard, so we have seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God, which God will establish forever. We have to realize that this greatness that our God has is a greatness that will forever be. There is nothing that can change that situation. He is our God. He is great. Sometimes we fail to realize that the things are here on earth only by His allowance. We live only by His allowance. Sometimes I find myself listening to my breathing at night and to my heartbeat. And one may think that he can stop hearing that heartbeat, or one may think that he can quieten himself. And yet, you continue to breathe, and the heart continues to beat. I know there are things we can do to help that work in a better sense when it's unhealthy. And yet, try and hold your breath for 5 minutes. See if God's wonderful creation doesn't take over and make you breathe. As we live this life, as we seek life in this world, and as Christians, as we seek to live our life for Christ, we need to remember some things. In 1 John 4, starting in verse 2, well, let's start in verse 1. Beloved, do you believe every spirit? Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard was coming and now is in the world already. I want you to listen to what he says. Of all of these things that try to claim that they're doing the work of God, of all these who claim to be doing work that Christ would have them to do or that God would have them to do, if it goes against the teachings that he's been given in his word, then what he's saying is they are against Christ. They are the Antichrist. He said it's already in this world. He's talking about a time after the crucifixion of Christ, before the second century. Been from the beginning when Christ came. There was someone going against Christ, or somebody speaking against God in some manner. But this fourth verse, he says, little children, he's talking to those who are Christians, those who belong to Christ, those who had their sins cleansed by the blood of Christ. He says, you are from God and have overcome them, for he who is in you, that is God himself, or the Spirit, is greater than he who is in the world, that is, that one of Satan. Have you ever thought about that? He says that one who lies within you, that spirit that lies within you, the Spirit of God, is greater than the spirit of the world. He's there for us. He's there to comfort us. He's there to guide us. He's there to care for us. He is a God of greatness, or beyond anything that we know. As we go through this weekend, as we approach this next week, I want us to think about this idea that we serve as children of God, a great and mighty God, one who cares for his children. for many things, but hopefully when you see these things that are out in creation, when you hear that thunder that rolls, that you might look and think about this God who is so great. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope that you're able to attend worship this Sunday morning and be with the saints. If you have a chance, we would really love to have you here at the Dora Church of Christ. Well, thank you for being with us this morning. I want us to reflect on the greatness of God. Think about who He is. Think about what He's given us. Thank you all. Y'all have a good weekend.